Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to see Newsmax right here at CPAC.
So you just stepped off the stage. Talk to us about what your message was for this crowd.
You know, I think that as outsiders, whether we go into Washington, D.C., Brussels, the capital of Europe, or Sacramento, the value of the outside viewpoint is really key. And I think that what we have right now is a political system that all of the insiders are controlling the information, controlling what we hear, what we see. And I think we've got to somehow break that system. We need better representation.
Now, when we look at the early days of the Biden foreign policy, unfortunately what we see is a repeat of the Obama-Biden foreign policy. Let's talk about a couple things specifically here. You wanted to talk about the Jamal Khashoggi report. Talk to us about that.
Look, I think this is a gratuitous repackaging of intelligence. When I was acting DNI, I had several meetings with career intelligence officials to say, what is it about the Khashoggi report that the public hasn't seen? Is there anything that we can do to shed more light? I'm all about transparency. And I was told by the career officials nothing else can be done, that the intelligence community believed we were done sharing on that report. Otherwise, sources and methods were going to be revealed. And I pushed hard on that and was told nothing more can be shared. So I accepted the career intelligence officials' assessment. What we see now is the new DNI clearly has overrode the career intelligence officials. Where's the outrage from Washington about manipulating intelligence? This was less than a year ago. The intelligence community said this should not be released. To gratuitously repackage now just to say something, I think is the whole problem of Washington.
By saying something, I mean, what you're kind of implicating here is that they're doing this to shade the conversation as they kind of configure the relationship with the Middle East. They obviously maybe want to throw some shade at Saudi Arabia here as they re-engage with Iran.
Totally. This is all about the Iran playbook. They're trying to get more leverage on the Iran deal. They clearly are sucking up to the Iranians. And this is clear, a repackaging of old intelligence to be released now. There is nothing new in this. Everything that is in this report, we knew before, we reacted, we dealt with the Saudis. And to gratuitously now repackage for political purposes is truly outrageous. For any reporter who actually talks about manipulating intelligence, this is the perfect example.
And as we look at the Biden foreign policy, when you talk about the Obama foreign policy, a word that came up from a lot of people, everyone from John McCain to others, was feckless, all over the place. There was a red line crossed in Syria during the Obama administration. They gassed their own people. They chose not to bomb Syria. But they dropped bombs in Syria to send a message to who?
Look, I think if you look at the foreign policy team of Jake Sullivan, clearly we have to say Joe Biden obviously has told us that he's a foreign policy expert over the years. And I think you got to put Susan Rice in there, who's pretending to do domestic policy right now, but make no mistake, she's doing foreign policy. They are trying to make up for lost time. I mean, what they did is they had a front row seat to a genocide in Syria, and they didn't stand up. They didn't get out of their chair. And this is a real problem. So I think now what they're trying to do is, so many years later, scramble to do something and to say, oh, look what we're doing in Syria. This is a complicated issue. It should be solved through diplomacy. And while they're talking to the Europeans, one message on Syria to the Europeans is, do more. Why don't you stop talking and do a little more and help us?
That is part of the America First agenda, right? That's part of